Welcome to The Explainer. You know, sometimes the answers to today's biggest problems are hidden in the past. And today, we're digging one up. We're cracking open a nearly 50-year-old university thesis to solve a really weird puzzle, one that's all about milk, trucks, and these huge hidden costs that can lurk right under our noses.
All right, so let's just jump right in with a question that, honestly, seems to make zero sense. Why on earth would a milk truck back in the 70s drive right past a perfectly good processing plant just to deliver its milk to one that's way farther down the road? I mean, think about it. That's like you driving past 3 grocery stores just to go to one that's an extra 20 minutes away. It's just bizarre, right? But this was happening every single day.
So to understand why, you gotta picture Western New York back then. It was basically the Wild West of milk collection. You had all these different dairy companies, and their trucks were just everywhere. Their routes were all tangled up, a total mess. You'd literally see a truck from one company passing a truck from a rival, both headed to farms that were practically neighbors. It was organized chaos, and a super inefficient one at that.
So, how do we make sense of this mess? Well, believe it or not, the clues are buried in this old Cornell University thesis from 1975 by a guy named Daniel Robert Strang. And here's the cool part. What he figured out wasn't really just about milk. He built a model, a way of thinking that helps us understand the super complex systems that run pretty much everything today.
Okay, so Strang's study pointed to 2 big culprits behind all this inefficiency. We're going to tackle them one by one. And the first one, well, it sounds simple, but it's a real doozy. It's a problem he called the everyday farm.
So what is an everyday farm? Well, see, most farms had their milk picked up every other day. It's just more efficient. But then you had these farms, about 10% of them, whose milk tanks were just too small to hold a full 2 days' worth of milk. This tiny detail, this one little constraint, meant a truck had to show up every single day, and it forced the whole system to bend over backwards to make it happen.
Now, you're probably thinking, so what? It's one extra stop. How much can that really cost? And yeah, on the surface, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But this is where it gets fascinating. The study found this huge hidden cost. It wasn't about the stop itself. It was about the ripple effect, the way it just wrecked the efficiency of the entire network.
Get this. If you only looked at the extra time the driver spent at that one farm, the cost was just 65 cents. Peanuts, right? But Strang's analysis looked deeper. The true cost, the cost of messing up the whole schedule, was actually $6.80. That is more than 10 times the obvious cost, just for that one little constraint.
And this wasn't a minor issue. These everyday farms, all by themselves, jacked up the total hauling costs for the entire system by a crazy 17.5%. Let that sink in. A small group of farms was responsible for a nearly 20% cost hike for everybody else. Wow.
Okay, so the everyday farm was a huge problem, but it was only half the story. It was like a big wrench thrown into a machine that was already kind of broken. Which brings us to our second culprit, and this one takes us right back to our original question about trucks driving past perfectly good plants. We're talking about those tangled, overlapping routes.
Yeah, Strang's paper nails it. He describes this exact baffling situation. And the thing is, everyone in the dairy business knew it was happening. They weren't blind. They saw the other company's trucks on the road every day. But what nobody had ever done before was actually put a number on it. No one knew just how incredibly wasteful the whole thing was.
I mean, think about it like this. It's like having 2 different pizza chains delivering on the same street, and their drivers are constantly weaving around each other. It's just pure inefficiency. Each company was trying to optimize its own routes, but in doing so, they were making the whole system a complete disaster.
And here's the big aha moment in Strang's work. The breakthrough was realizing that the everyday farms and the tangled routes weren't 2 separate problems. No, they were one single interconnected mess, and each problem was making the other one even worse.
This gets to the core idea, something we call the network effect. See, when you force a truck to go to that one everyday farm every single day, it's not just about that one stop. What you're really doing is killing the flexibility of the entire system. You're taking away dozens, maybe hundreds of other more efficient routes that the whole fleet could have taken. It's a bottleneck, and it just multiplies the waste.
So, okay, we get it. It's a mess, but what was the actual price tag on all this waste? Well, by crunching the numbers, Strang figured out not just how bad the problem was, but, and this is the exciting part, how much money was just sitting there waiting to be saved.
His model suggested a solution that was, almost insultingly simple. Just reassign the farms to the plant that's closest to them. Forget about which company owns what. Just do what makes sense geographically. The result? Just in his test area, that one change saved 528 miles of driving. Every 2 days.
And when you tally up all those saved miles and the saved driver time, it came out to an annual savings of more than $39,000. Now remember, that's 1975 money. That was a serious chunk of change back then.
So what's that in today's dollars? We're talking over $220,000 a year just saved. And this was just for one small part of New York. The beautiful part is they didn't have to build new roads or buy better trucks. They just had to use data to work smarter, not harder.
I mean, look at the numbers here. The impact is just crystal clear. You're seeing a nearly 20% drop in the miles driven. That's huge, and it translates to almost a 13% cut in the total cost. And all it took was just sending the trucks to the closest farms. It's just logic.
Okay, so this is where it all comes together. Because this isn't just a fun history lesson about milk trucks in the 70s. This is basically the origin story for the super complex logistics that power almost everything in our lives today.
Think about it. The exact same ideas that Strang figured out with his milk study, that's what's running our modern world. How does Amazon get a package to your door in hours? How does Uber or Lyft instantly find the closest driver? How does DoorDash get your food to you while it's still hot? It's all the same fundamental logic. Don't look at one truck or one delivery in isolation. You have to look at the entire, dynamic, interconnected network.
And that brings us to the biggest takeaway. The everyday farm is such a powerful metaphor, right? It applies to so much more than farming. An everyday farm could be that one line of bad code that slows down an entire piece of software. It could be that one pointless weekly meeting that just sucks the life and productivity out of an entire team. It's that one tiny, seemingly harmless inefficiency that secretly creates massive costs across the whole system. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. What are the hidden everyday farms in your world? Because once you start looking for them, these small problems with huge hidden ripple effects, I promise you'll start seeing them absolutely everywhere. Thanks for tuning in.